My name is Rachel. I'm currently 29 years old and living with my husband Stefan and his parents in our family home. The reason for this is that Stefan's mother often falls ill, and both Stefan and I, along with his father who works at the office, are concerned about her. If something were to happen to her while she's alone at home, there's nothing his father could do from the office. However, it was also challenging for either Stefan or me to keep visiting his parents' home frequently. So, I suggested that we move in with them. I work from home, so I'm mostly around the house. Stefan's mother is generally well, except when she has health issues. So it's not like she needs constant care. If the concern is about having someone in the house, it makes sense for me, who works from home, to be there with Stefan's mother. As a result of this discussion, we decided to move in with Stefan's parents. My own parents have passed away, so his parents told me to think of them as my own. Stefan is a very kind and considerate person, and his parents are also very kind. I grew fond of them quickly. However, I just couldn't warm up to Stefan's sister, my sister-in-law Kelly. It seems like Kelly dislikes me, that she's always been harsh with me. Hey, Rachel. It's been a while since I visited, and you can't even entertain properly? These cookies are just something you can buy at any supermarket, right? Really? After all, I gave my blessing to your marriage to my brother. Why can't you be more thoughtful? I'm sorry. Kelly always complains like this when neither Stefan's mother, father, nor Stefan is around. I got along well with my in-laws, so I thought I wouldn't experience any mistreatment. But since Kelly returned from abroad a year ago, she has been picking on me constantly. You might not have been out of the US, but abroad. People judge you by what you wear and what you serve. It's not like the US where you can live carelessly. You wouldn't understand, Rachel, since you don't work. Living without thinking isn't normal. But I do work, even though it's from home. I decided to stand up for myself. Sister, I do work. What? What are you talking about? You're always at my parents' house. You were there to greet me today and last time, not my mom. Aren't you always here? I work from home, so it's inevitable that I'm here. Work from home? Doing what? That can't be true. Working means like my brother Stefan, who actually works. I have been abroad, using that experience in my work. Are you saying your home job is like a house guard or something? That's the worst. Are you just unemployed? No, I'm not unemployed, it's just that we don't need unemployed people in our house. Until now, my parents and brother have been too kind to say anything to you. But don't think you can keep doing the same things. If you continue being unemployed, I'll kick you out of this house. Kick out. I'm serious. At this rate, unemployed people will take over our family home. Listen, find a job within a month or leave. After saying this, my sister-in-law left without even eating the snacks I had prepared. I was left pondering what to do next. This was the 5th time my sister-in-law had come to our house when I was the only one home. I have told Stefan every time she visits and what she says. Stefan has told me, if it escalates, let's discuss it again. Neither Stefan nor I paid much attention, thinking she would eventually get bored. But to call me unemployed and tell me to leave the house. I'm not unemployed since I am working, albeit from home. I'm not sure if explaining my home-based work will make her understand. I sighed. Now, I have to explain to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, who know my sister-in-law well, what she said to me. She talks about kicking me out. But she doesn't realize that the peaceful life in this house is because of Stefan and me. It's all so frustrating. At dinner that day, I told my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and Stefan about my sister-in-law's visit and her calling me unemployed and telling me to leave. They were all surprised since they knew about my job. Eventually, my father-in-law sighed and said, "Okay, I'll talk to Kelly." However, his attempt to persuade her didn't go well. He reported back, looking dejected, "She blocked me on Messenger. Seems like she's also blocking my calls." Hearing this, my mother-in-law said determinedly, "I'll contact her next." But after a while, she said, "She's blocked me too." Finally, Stefan said, "I'll try talking to her, no harm in trying." He started the conversation casually without mentioning our issue, asking, "Long time no see. How are you?" That's Stefan, knowing how to handle his sister. According to what he learned from her, she plans to kick me out regardless of my job and then live in our family home herself. When asked why she wanted to live in the family home, she just evaded the question. While we were investigating and taking action regarding my sister-in-law, the 1-month deadline she had set was approaching. On the day of the deadline, she came to the house as expected. "There you are, still at home today. Didn't you think to find a job after hearing what I said? As I told you before, I am working. I work from home. Haven't you heard about it recently? Remote work and such." "I don't know. I've been abroad all this time. I don't know any strange English terms. Even abroad, I thought there were many home-based jobs. If there's internet, you should be able to work from home. My sister-in-law must have used the internet for work too. Why can't she understand what I'm saying?" I wondered why she couldn't understand. But then I thought I didn't need to force her to understand. I know from what Stefan told me. Even if I worked outside, my sister-in-law intends to find fault with my job and kick me out of the house. Therefore, it's impossible to convince her about my work-from-home job. She'll probably nitpick whatever I do anyway. I can't stand it that someone like you, a drain on our resources, is living in my parents' house and using my parents' and brother's money as if it were your own. Don't let Unemployed squat here forever. Leave now. I knew all along that my sister-in-law wanted me out of the house. She thinks Stefan is on her side and believes she can easily kick me out. Yes. I understand. Arguing with my sister-in-law here would only prolong the conversation. I nodded my head in agreement. As soon as I obediently agreed to leave the family home, my sister-in-law's mood improved. "That's right. Unemployed like you have no right to be in my family home. And from now on, using my brother's money is forbidden. He who does not work, neither shall he eat." My sister-in-law laughed loudly. Then, Stefan emerged from inside the house. "Then, by that logic, the one with the least right to eat here would be you, sister." My sister-in-law froze and gradually paled at Stefan's sudden appearance. "Why is Stefan here? Shouldn't you be at work today?" My sister-in-law always came when she knew I was the only one at home. My father-in-law and Stefan are usually at work on weekdays. And my mother-in-law goes to a cafe with her friends every Monday. She always timed her visits to our house accordingly. In other words, being at home at that time meant encountering my sister-in-law. Therefore, Stefan, my father-in-law, and my mother-in-law had taken the day off from work today. And my mother-in-law had cancelled her plans with her friends. As they emerged from inside the house, my sister-in-law swallowed hard. However, she still seemed to think she had the upper hand and said, "Great. Once this unemployed woman is gone, the 4 of us can live together again, just family." My mother-in-law sighed upon hearing this. "What are you talking about? You never even cared about us." "What? When I fell ill 2 years ago, you were in the US, not abroad. You never visited me once." "What are you saying? I was always abroad." "We've long since known that's a lie." My sister-in-law's face grew pale. We had hired a detective agency to investigate her actions. What we found out was that she had never been abroad. She pretended to be abroad and thus never returned home. Apparently, she had lied about living abroad to everyone except her close friends. I always thought you were vain, but I didn't realize it was to this extent. As my mother-in-law sighed, my sister-in-law glared at me, her face turning red. Because you've always been here, I couldn't come back to my family home. So, it's best if you leave this house. Get out of my house quickly. I understand. I will leave, so please stop causing a scene in front of the house. Really? You'll leave? Despite sensing that my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and Stefan were not on her side. My sister-in-law seemed surprised that I agreed to leave so easily. She gaped at me, and I nodded my head in confirmation. I need to prepare to leave, so can you please go home for today? I'm busy. Once you leave, make sure to contact me. After I clearly said I would leave, my sister-in-law seemed relieved and quickly went home. When she was out of sight, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, Stefan, and I nodded to each other. It was really good that my sister-in-law didn't come inside the house. The house is already empty, after all. A month ago, the day my sister-in-law told me to leave, we had a family meeting and decided to move out with my in-laws. Stefan and I had been talking about buying a house, so we decided to move into a duplex home. I was worried that my father-in-law and mother-in-law might not want to leave this familiar house. But they said, now, Rachel, who cares for us every day, is more important to us than our own daughter, who doesn't show her face in difficult times. We can't be ungrateful to Rachel, who has helped us financially. Just to accommodate our daughter, who only comes by occasionally to ask for money. My sister-in-law didn't believe in my home-based work and called me unemployed, but I actually earned $300,000 a year from it. I was the one who paid for the surgery and hospital fees when my mother-in-law fell ill. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are still grateful for that. I decided to pay for the maintenance of this house and asked my father-in-law and mother-in-law to prioritize their health, while Stefan's money was saved. My sister-in-law, who had neglected the family home, didn't know who had been supporting it. Moreover, she called me unemployed and a burden. I couldn't have sympathy for such a person. Since she wanted to live in this house, we decided to let her have her wish. Stefan, my in-laws, and I wouldn't live with her, but since she wanted the house, that should be enough for her. We finished moving and started a peaceful life in the duplex house. At the same time, I sent a message to my sister-in-law saying, we've completed the move. My sister-in-law must not be foolish, so she would surely check the house at least once. And when she sees the vacated house, she'll be in a hurry to contact us. However, my sister-in-law did something unexpected. Suddenly, I got a call from her. Hey. There's no one inside, so I can't get in. Of course, no one is inside and the keys don't work. Nobody lives there anymore. I can't keep the movers waiting. Send someone to the house. Stefan and Dad might be at work, but Mom should be free. Tell her to stop playing around and come home. Movers? What are you talking about? The movers are for moving, obviously. Don't you even know that? Is that why you're unemployed? Because you can't do any job properly and always get fired? I know what movers do. I just used them recently for our move. But I thought my sister-in-law would use movers much later. I never expected her to hire them before realizing we all had moved out. Nobody lives in that house anymore. Huh? Stefan, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and I have already moved to our new house. If you wanted to live in that house, you need to make a contract. I was thinking of introducing you to a real estate agent. You can't live there yet, since you haven't made a contract, right? My sister-in-law raised her voice over the phone. What? What are you saying? I thought I could live in this house from today. So I vacated my old rundown apartment. I can't go back there now. That was a bit hasty. Enough. Stop it already. Why are our parents and brother staying with you? Someone like you, unemployed, should be discarded. I was getting tired of this. How long will I be called unemployed? Look, sister. I'm not unemployed. I am working. There are many ways of working that you might not understand. I even have an annual income of $300,000. That's nothing compared to you, who were laid off and then unemployed, trying to rely on your family home. The detective agency revealed that my sister-in-law was laid off and had no money, trying to return to her family home. That's why Stefan, my in-laws, and I decided to move without her knowing, not wanting to be exploited by her. If you knew all that, you could be a little nicer to me. If what you're saying is true, then you have money, right? Then you can help me out, right? Huh? Help you? Why would I help someone who has always ridiculed me? And another thing, okay? Didn't you say, he who does not work, neither shall he eat? Even if we lived together, I would kick out someone unemployed like you right away. But, I quickly hung up the phone. There were a few more calls after that, so I set them to be automatically rejected. When my sister-in-law realized she couldn't contact me, she tried to contact Stefan, my father-in-law, and mother-in-law, but it seems like she couldn't get help from anyone. Unable to get our new address from anyone, she ended up apologizing to the movers while crying. Later, she reluctantly took refuge in a close friend's house. But because she never contributed to food costs or found a job, she was kicked out. She seems to be repeating this cycle, going from one friend's house to another and being kicked out, since she had never involved herself before. My sister-in-law didn't know the workplaces of my father-in-law and Stefan or our neighborhood relationships, so she couldn't find us. Eventually, she'll probably end up with no one to rely on. Hopefully, she finds a job before then. By the way, I found out I was pregnant during my last visit to the hospital. So it's really good that my sister-in-law's issues are resolved. I didn't want to deal with her while carrying a child. From now on, I want to enjoy life with my in-laws, Stefan, and our child.